to Georgia. She's better at a little bit of this coordinating with photos, etc. So I'm just going to begin to say that we just had our Earth Day, and that was celebrated on April the 27th in Lions Park. And as you can see that big lineup there, that was actually a lineup for free trees for Poco residents. And the first 50 people that came on that rainy day walked away with a nice free tree they could plant in their yard. Also in attendance was Georgia from the Coquitlam River Watershed Society. It was great. She came with a map and showed people where the watershed was, and it helped promote the long-term health and sustainability of the watershed. And we also had lovely Scott Wamsley here who attending, and he was at one of the booths there as well. And maybe Georgia, I don't know if you can first, do you have any slides there maybe showing yourself? Oh, there we go. There's some pictures of the trees. Not quite there yet. We were going to show one of you in the booth. Do you see that one there?
In your group here? Oh, there I think is
there. Yeah, back up, that one. That's right there. So that was one of the booths, and it was where Georgia was set up and going to be explaining more about the watershed. And then what was the other one you had there?
Let's see. Jacqueline was also there at the booth with me as well.
Oh, Jacqueline. Okay, very good.
Trees there.
And then I guess we can, yeah. And then there was the picture of the rain barrel that both Stephen or Councillor Darling and myself purchased, one each for our yards. So I'll just let you know a little bit about the rain barrel idea that came from actually this group, and it came full credit from the rain garden that we have in Lions Park that we'll go into a little bit more in the next spot on our agenda. But I was very much enamored with the whole process, so I had put a budget item for our city to actually do the rain barrel program that actually the city of Coquitlam had done a couple of years prior to see how it would have worked for residents to purchase rain barrels. So this is basically what happens. So rain barrels can be placed under downspouts in buildings and homes and used to capture and hold rainwater that enters a building's rain gutter system, providing rain barrels at a reduced cost. They were to the city of Port Coquitlam residents. This is one my husband has set up at the side of our house. I just mentioned he's got to make the base a little larger underneath after watching a video. So I've given him some corrections. And what it's doing is it's engaging our residents in water conservation while alleviating pressures on the city's stormwater runoff system. Each rain barrel holds 200 liters of water and includes a removable lid with mosquito mesh screens, overflow hoses. Faucets are also included. So staff weren't sure what level of interest we would have in the community. So they purchased 50 barrels and they were like sold out right away. And Scott can maybe, attest to that. He mentioned that, I think he had some that were still wanting some after they sold out. So what we're going to be doing on May the 25th at POCO's open house, we've got an additional 20 barrels that are expected to sell out quickly to Port Coquitlam residents, and the barrels are $50 plus tax. So we also have a clip that we can maybe, attach later, or depending on how the flow of the meeting goes, and it actually drills down a little deeper into rain barrels and the benefit more in quite a bit of detail in the weeds. So I think that might wrap up my little short presentation. Do you have any other slides there, Georgia? Oh, what was that one? Was that one? Oh, maybe that talked about Earth Day or the actual program. It's sort of a little far away to see. Oh yes, this was one of the booths that where they had a little seed that they were giving to the children to show them about planting a seed that they could nurture themselves. So it's always good to educate the children about the environment, about the earth, about gardening and the love of it all. So thank you. That's just sort of short and sweet. So I'll hand it back to Georgia. Thanks, Georgia.
Great. Thanks, Councillor Makura. That's just so great to hear that the rain barrels have been so popular. And I have that link from you about the a video on stormwater and rain barrels. So I'll post that in the chat. And it will also be in the minutes so that people can access it if they're interested. We could also, if there's time at the end of the meeting, we can take a quick look at that. Just let me pull up the chat here. I think our next item is an update from the BC Watershed Security Coalition. So some of you may know Corey Tull from the BC Watershed Security Coalition. I just received a message from her about a week ago or something like a week ago. So she's asked me to share some information with the members. And I can also send this out as an email, which will have all the links that you might need. But basically, to summarize, the province of BC and the BC First Nations Water Table have launched a temporary Watershed Security Fund website. And there you can find all kinds of information about the BC Watershed Security Fund and receive newsletters to stay posted. She's also asking that members send a letter to Minister Cullen urging him to increase investments in the Watershed Security Fund. So she notes that this is a crucial time for investments given all the wildfires and droughts throughout the province. And the initial amount available through the fund is estimated to be about $3 to $5 million. But this amount falls quite short of effectively mitigating the impacts of drought, wildfire, and floods across BC watersheds. So she notes that the Watershed Security Coalition has called consistently for 75 million annual investment through the Watershed Security Fund. And so she's calling on us as members of BC watersheds to reach out to Minister Cullen and urge him to increase their investment. And there's a template that she has shared for writing letters. So I can share that in the chat as well as in the minutes. And I think it would be great if the roundtable membership wanted to send a joint letter to on this topic. I wonder if anyone has any comments about doing so at this point, or if not, we can follow up later. She's
why
also,
don't we just take some time to look at it, Georgia, and then we can follow up with that for sure.
Sure. Okay. So I just posted the draft letter in the chat. There is also a call to urge federal ministers to increase watershed security investments. And that's for things like early warning systems. There's also been some investment in the Great Bear Sea with Central Coastal National Marine Conservation Area Reserve in BC with 57.9 million. And sorry, I'm botching this a little bit, but this will all be in the notes. It's a fairly lengthy description of what has been invested to date in the federal budget for watershed security investments. And I'll share that through the minutes. But basically, the follow-up action from that is that we are being encouraged to as well ask for further investment from the federal government for watershed security. And there's also a template letter for that, which will be shared through the minutes. And I can also paste that in the chat. So I'll do that right now. So I know there is a fair amount of concern throughout the province around drought these days. Just noting that this is a very topical issue right now. There's a lot of interest in it. So it's a good time to be reaching out on this. I wonder if there are any other community updates that we should bring up at this point from anybody else in the meeting? If not,
Okay, Georgia, will you be providing some community updates from the,
those were the community updates that I had, just the update from the Watershed Security Coalition. And then I've got some updates on Coquitlam River Watershed Roundtable and some projects. So
okay, okay, so that's the next topic. Okay, well then there's no other comments or hands up. We'll move to the Coquitlam River Watershed Society project and funding updates.
So at the beginning of this year, Margaret was working very hard with us to get funding for projects for this year. And we've had pretty good luck so far. So one of the things that we applied for was funding for a Canada Summer Job student. And this is a position that would be a videographer to document some of the projects and activities that are taking place that the Roundtable is undertaking, as well as our partners.
Georgia, would you
yeah.
mind just stopping sharing your screen and then we'll see?
Oh, I'm sorry, my apologies.
There, then we can see each other. Yeah.
Great, thank you. I was actually going to briefly share this table.
Okay, go ahead then, yes.
So, okay. Okay. Yeah, so we have the Government of Canada Summer Jobs funding, which is to fund we applied for 16 weeks for a videographer. We got funding for 9 weeks. So the total amount valued for that is we're being given $9,000 roughly. And there is some that we will be contributing as well. But yeah, we're really looking forward to bringing that person on. And I've spoken to a few members about some ideas that we have for video projects that could be done and topics that could be covered in those video projects. But I'd certainly be interested to hear from the broader membership if there's a project that is going on in the watershed that you think would be a good candidate for showing over video. I'd be all ears. Another project that we applied for was through the Real Estate Foundation of BC. And so in case I'm not, there was last year, you will all probably be aware that we were working with the UBC Center for Law and the Environment to produce a quite comprehensive report on municipal bylaws or municipal laws and how they work to facilitate low impact development in the Coquitlam River watershed. So that's been produced and finalized, and the report is available on our website. But we also wanted to help sort of package that information up and make it easily accessible for the development community, municipal staff, who have contributed a lot to this report already and are already experts on this, but also to the public. And so we were applying for funding for a series of workshops to share out the results of the report. Unfortunately, we didn't get funding from the Real Estate Foundation of BC. We were asking for $20,000, and so we unfortunately our application didn't go forward. But we still intend to host a workshop or some way of sharing out the key information and findings from that report. So we'll be looking at doing that in the fall. We did receive funding through the Pacific Salmon Foundation, and that will help with our outreach activities. So we're going to be refreshing our banners. We also got some little salmon egg kits to help people understand what salmon and the different stages of salmon growth are. So that was approved for $2,250. And we received funding through the Coquitlam Foundation for $3,500, and that will help us to host some strategic planning sessions for our new board in the fall or winter. And so, yeah, we're very grateful for all of that. That will be a big help going forward. We're also still waiting on word about a funding application to the Port Coquitlam Community Foundation. And that's for $5,000 to go toward revitalizing the rain garden in Lions Park. So Nancy's, Councillor Makura spoke briefly about the rain garden. It's been in place now for about 3 years, and it's doing quite well. There's been a lot of volunteer participation to keep it surviving and thriving over the summers. But it could use a bit of a refresh in terms of some new plants, a bit of some drainage tile, and some new soil. And so that's what that grant is for. So either way, regardless, we're going to, it's now summer, and so we're going to be starting up again, looking for volunteers to help keep that rain garden watered through the summer. That was a really successful project that we had, or a successful effort, I would say, last year. A lot of roundtable members and community volunteers came out to keep it watered. And one of the things that I heard frequently was just what a pleasant experience that was to go out there on a summer morning or a summer evening and to spend some time with the plants in a beautiful park. So to that point, we now have our sign-up sheet ready to go again for this year. And maybe I'll just turn it over to Jacqueline Chan, who's done a really great job of setting up that sign-up sheet. And she can share a little bit more about what to expect if you sign up for a watering shift. So I'm going to stop sharing this now.
Sure, yeah. I'm going to share my screen. So I'm just gonna show like how you can navigate to the site. First, you can go to our website, which is coquitlamriverwatershed.ca. And then under volunteer, you will find our volunteer opportunity for the rain garden. So there's a bit more about this project, like an info sheet, like about kind of what this rain garden is for and the benefits of the rain garden. And then you can also sign in by filling in this form. I will be posting both like our website link and this in the chat. So like just for easy access. So what you can do is we have the shifts on like Sunday. You can do the watering on either Sunday or Monday. So the sign up is like it's situated on a Monday. So for example, like May 20th, and then you can go like to a different month, like June. So you can select a Monday and yeah, do the watering either Sunday or Monday. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions? Yeah. If not, then that's all. I'll just post the links in the chat. Thank you.
Thanks, Jacqueline.
I just have one
Go.
question. What we do have, what's also whether it's been posted on your updates, Jacqueline, is the little YouTube video that shows you how to find the
Mhm.
hose and the lock so you do have a little how-to 101 on what to water and how to water.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, thank you, Margaret. Yeah, that's sent through email when
Sign up.
like
Yeah,
someone signs up.
yeah. Thank you.
Great. So yeah, I'm just going to post that link in the chat as well, just so people have it.
Oh, I think
Um,
we might have changed the sign up link, so it's like the job form one.
Yes, I do have
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah, I can just post it. Yeah, I have it open.
Great, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay. So are there any more project or funding updates to share? We're good? Okay, well then, we're pretty much on schedule, a little over by 5 minutes. We will, have a update on the society and organizational, updates.
Thank you, Margaret. And yeah, just also wanted to take the opportunity to thank the interim board, as well as Margaret, as well as you know, many people who have been contributing to providing advice, including Hazel Postma and some of the legal advice that we've gotten from Tajager Volkanant. I think we've all put in a lot of effort to getting to a point where I think we have a pretty good vision for how we're going to function as an organization going forward. And Kirsten and I are just going to provide a brief summary on what that might look like. So I'm going to share my screen. We have a presentation here. Great. And sorry, sometimes my windows block other windows. That's better. So yeah. So just a little bit of background, since some folks are kind of new to the organization at this point. So we are the Coquitlam River Watershed Roundtable, and the organization was brought together multiple stakeholders and sector representatives throughout the watershed. And so sector representatives have included folks from all levels of government, federal, provincial, municipal, First Nations, regional. It's also included stewardship groups, educational organizations, community businesses, and industry. And so it's brought together all of those folks as a sort of what our lawyer called an unincorporated association of individuals. But basically there was a structure that we had developed in place that worked for the roundtable to ensure that all of those very knowledgeable and engaged folks had a forum to communicate productively and collaboratively with each other about what was happening in the watershed. That organization our organization has been guided by the Lower Coquitlam River Watershed Plan, which was created in 2015 and sets out identified pressures and impacts on the watershed and proposes strategies to mitigate those pressures. And so since 2015, we've been undertaking projects like the Rain Garden that you just heard about, or the Low Impact Development Study, to undertake those strategies. And so much of this will remain the same going forward. We will continue to implement the Lower Coquitlam River Watershed Plan, and we will continue to engage those sector representatives as a collaborative body. But we are now a society. And so I'm just going to, oops, excuse me. to go forward with talking a bit about that. So in 2020, we became registered as a society, and that was spurred mostly by the need to secure reliable insurance. And also it was thought that it would be a good idea to help us access funding that was available to societies. And so there were the core committee designated representatives, or the sector representatives. They were made directors sort of as an automatic move. And since that, following that time, many have withdrawn as directors, but we still have, fortunately, several who have continued in that role. And so we've been working to get as much information as we need to understand how being a society will, what the requirements of being a society are, and how we can best sort of implement, or how we can best leverage this new organizational structure. One of the benefits of being a society is that it provides legal clarity for us, or our organization, and it puts us in the mainstream of how organizations throughout BC operate. So this is our draft organizational chart. And it's for the roundtable going forward. It looks, there's a lot of information here, but one of the things I'll start out with saying is that, we've never been a very hierarchical organization. We've always been quite flat. And it's at its heart, I think we recognize that collaboration and cooperation are key to functioning well, and to what the value that this organization brings. So that is represented here sort of by these overlapping parts of the organization and groups. So in red, we have the Coquitlam River Watershed Society Board of Directors. And currently and going forward, the board provides fiduciary oversight. So they look at our financial statements that are provided by Watershed Watch, which is our financial trustee. They provide supervision and management for my role as coordinator, and also consider other contractors that might be hired. They facilitate board recruitment, approve major expenses and the budget, and contribute to the annual work plan. Then there's the financial trustee, as I mentioned, which is Watershed Watch. And Watershed Watch has really been doing a great job of providing, thus far they've been holding our money as in trust. And so they receive funds that are for the Coquitlam River Watershed. And then they provide payment through invoices. They provide financial statements, and they have a professional accounting firm, CNC Accounting, who manages our funds. Then we have the core committee. And so in our earlier iterations, we had designated representatives from organizations such as, for example, Hoyt-Scott Watershed Society or the City of Coquitlam. And these organizations would designate a representative. They would also, and that representative would have the right to vote, and on any questions or resolutions that came up. There would also be alternates from each organization that would, help, I guess, just provide representation, ease that communication between the organization and the representative that was sitting on the round table. And so what we'll have now is basically that structure where designates continue to be the voting members of the society. That the alternates can certainly remain on board, and we hope that they will, as well as other community members, all of the folks that come out to join our meetings and hear presentations, or take part in projects. And so there's the core voting membership, but then there's a much broader community, which is still very much key to how the roundtable functions. And those members, all of those members, be they board directors or core voting members, or just part of that general group of alternates, advisors, participants, those folks are also invited to sit on committees. And as you can see, we have several committees here. So there's the Financial Advisory Committee, the Habitat Committee, and the committees are basically the ones that are the sort of boots on the ground, do the things like the rain garden revitalization project, move soil with shovels, or reach out to the membership over phone to, drum up support and participation for certain projects. And yeah, I'm just gonna leave this slide up for a moment so that you can take some time to digest it and ask any questions if there are any at this point. There are more slides that go into some of this in greater detail coming up. Okay.
I mean, essentially the round table and how we make decisions really hasn't changed. It's just become a bit more formalized because we become a society. So in the past, and this is probably, most of us already know this, but for Dan and some newcomers, that we've always been a very consensus-based grouping of people, and we were as a round table, and the round table was fairly unique at the time, back in 2011 or 2012, Margaret, even earlier than that, possibly. Yeah, you're on. And so we're basically staying with the same spirit, same concept, including all the stakeholders that we can and that want to be part of the watershed and are interested in the watershed and care about the watershed, and getting all those groups together, as you say, Georgia, to put projects forward as a community. And it's been a great way to get different stakeholders talking and appreciating points of view, and really just all for the same goal, to support a healthy watershed. So, obviously there's any questions about this, Georgia, but you went through it in pretty good detail.
I'll just go to the next slide then, and you can, yeah.
Oh, let me change the slide. Okay. So right now we have an interim board, and essentially how this happened was we were all core committee members. And when we applied to become a society, and no one in this group actually applied to be a society. The person that did that isn't with us anymore, but we are a society now. And they basically took the top 10 core committee members in a row and made us all directors. So some people stayed on, some people didn't. There was conflicts and different things of why they would not stay on, but those of us that have stayed on are trying to navigate this sort of as an interim board to prepare us to have an actual real board. And well, not that we're not a real board, but a formal board, and to do the work and get out of the way basically of what the round table, the work they need to do. And we basically will deal with all the governance issues that a board typically would handle. So we right now have 5 directors, Jim Allard, Sherry Carroll, Carousel, Scott Walmsley, and myself. Currently I'm the interim chair. Not for any other reason, but it's just that I think I was the one that was standing forward when everyone stepped back, and that's totally fine and happy to do it. And then obviously we're very happy to have Councillor McCurrick here as well, taking one of those appointed spots on our board, and then hopefully we'll see someone from Coquitlam as well. We're going to be spending the rest of this meeting or part of this meeting and then the next few weeks trying to recruit and let the public know that we are looking for directors and that we're happy to take anyone putting their name forward to take a look at that and have conversations to see if we can find some people that would be a great fit. And for them to understand the commitments and the requirements of sitting on the board for the society. And right now, I think we do have the directors that we have in place are willing to, I think all of us are willing to stand for election to carry us through for this the first year or 2 years to get the board solidified and get all the business of becoming a board all organized and settled, and then hopefully we just keep finding more people to be on the board and rotating that and getting the skill sets and the people interest the interest that people want to have to hopefully have some input for belonging to the Coquitlam River Watershed Society. We're going to call it, I also always put in roundtable. We keep putting the roundtable in because at our core, we are a roundtable. We always have been. And that's a very special word to most of us here that participate on the roundtable. We have a society right now. That's our name, that legal name that we have right now. And we may look at that just to provide some more clarification on and understanding that we are still are going to be functioning as a roundtable with some formalities sprinkled in amongst that. I don't know, is there any questions on that at all? Does anybody want to add anything? Councilor McCurrick?
Thank you. Why did I think that, was it Trish, Councillor Trish Mondale from the city of Coquitlam was also a core committee member?
I
can speak to that one. So yeah, Councillor Mondale is currently our council representative on the core committee. We're hoping that she's going to become a board member. I am taking forward a report to council at the beginning of June in advance of the AGM to have her or another council member formally appointed onto the board. So I guess our approach is slightly different than Port Coquitlam's in terms of appointing council members onto boards. So because we're hoping to shift her from core committee to board, we're going to go through that formal council report.
Oh, I see. So from core committee to board, so
yeah.
Not on the core committee.
That's right. So what we're thinking is that staff would sit on the core committee. So I would continue.
Yeah. Exactly. So this is exactly what I was trying to relay to my staff that appointed me. And I said, I don't think we should do this quite yet because we're still emerging. We're still figuring this all out. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I am happy to swap around or whatever it takes as well. So I wouldn't necessarily put it in stone. So I've also talked to Mayor West about this as well. So I just want to know, I just want you to know that it's, you know, it's not a completely done deal till I see what's going on with the city of Coquitlam as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the hope is that the cities continue to participate, and if it works better for the councillors to be on the board, and that's more of the proper place for them to be, and that we because we have done a lot of work to get all of the information together to present, so that someone like Karis can present to council or on what this looks like with our new structure, but still remembering that we're still our old sentiment and the work we want to do is still there of the roundtable work, and certainly having people like yourself, Councillor McCurrick, with your background in environmental support would be ideal. But you also all have to work out how that looks. So our job as the interim board has been trying to get language and understanding and legal advice not a lot of legal advice, not a lot of expensive legal advice, but some legal advice on what that looks like, so it's easy for you and for the cities. That is the goal at the end. So we're almost there, I think.
Yeah, so it's sort of, how do you want to say, I'll say on the fence in a way, because sometimes I might feel conflicted if the city of Port Coquitlam is putting money forth to the society, and then you're voting at the same time on it. So sometimes I get feeling of a little bit of a conflict there. So
Yeah.
I'm just haven't quite gone that far to solidify this yet. I do sit on other committees and boards as well. And so, for instance, the Wilson Seniors Advisory Board, but we can go into that at another time. So I just want you to know I'm just watching and seeing what's also going on with the council with the city of Coquitlam. Thank you.
We've been trying to just really formalize it and make it so it makes sense. We've had, you know, as an interim board, we've been trying to struggle with it as well. What does make sense? And I think we're there, where we've gotten to a point where, you know, the details are starting to really make sense. And also, you know, time commitments as well, being respectful of that with the counselors as well and whatnot. So I think we're getting there, that's for sure. Is there any other questions just around this, or do you want me to just quickly go through the rest of the deck that Georgia's put together here? I mean, happy to have these conversations too. We may need to have them outside of this very sort of 1 hour. We certainly have had lots, the interim board members right now have been having a lot of meetings and discussions. Margaret's been a part of that, and so we're just going to continue to do that until our AGM. But happy to hear from anyone from the public for sure, or anyone. So is this one good? Can I move on, Georgia?
Yeah, I think that would be great. There's a lot to discuss here, and we were aiming for some discussion time afterwards, but let's get through as much of the presentation as we can, and then see if we need to maybe book some separate time, or hopefully we can maybe just tack on an extra 5 minutes for anyone who wants to stick around to have a conversation.
Yeah. I mean, there's certainly more conversations that are going to be needed for sure. And so that's, is that you, Karis? Did you have something to say? I thought you raised your hand. Okay, well then do you want to move on then and see if we can get through this?
Sure.
Yep. And then, of course, if anybody has to drop off, I mean, Margaret, you're chairing the meeting. Do you want to see now if everyone can stay for another 5 minutes, or?
Yeah, I saw this draft earlier in the week, but there's a few more slides on this?
Yeah.
And then, okay, so it's 5 to 6. Is there a general consensus to go till 10 after 6? Is there just a show of hands?
Yeah.
General, okay, let's go till let's finish
Let's
up.
power through this then, and
Yeah.
okay, thank you, Margaret. So the following, oh sorry, I'm on the next, I'm just gonna follow, I'm following along on mine as well, Georgia. Okay, so the board going forward after our AGM, the goal is to have no less than 3 directors, no more than 11, and we're looking for definitely that 5 to 9 number. Even 7 I would even say 7 would be our minimum if we could get that number, that would be great. Again, the board provides fiduciary oversight, which I think you've already covered, Georgia. The board members may include existing core committee members or non-members, experts from outside, that biologists or conservationists, maybe finance, accounting, maybe legal, people that are just that have a skill set that we're making to make sure that our board is well-rounded board. But they certainly don't have to be a part of the core committee. We did, and this will go back to Councilor McCurr, what you were touching on, and this we'll put a big sort of bubble around this. But our hope was to have sort of a statutory appointments of 3 board seats that were held by the two cities and the Coquitlam First Nations. That's the goal. It may not look like that, but that's sort of our goal because we do want those important stakeholders represented on the society board if we can. So then we would move on to wait, did I miss something on this one?
Sorry, Kirsten,
No.
it's me and yes, there we go.
Yeah.
That was working.
Okay. Did we have a question? Sorry.
Nope.
No, okay. And also that was the reason why we were also keeping some of the interim boards, hoping that they will be on the board after the AGM as well, just for some continuity. The board will obviously pass resolutions by simple majority. We're hoping to meet approximately 5 times a year. And we would generally, the idea would be to have the board meetings preceding the community meetings and the core committee meetings. And George's right now, we've typically been doing this on the 3rd Wednesday of every other month. We don't meet throughout the summer, and we need to our fiscal year end is December 31st, so we need to hold an AGM within 6 months of our fiscal year end, sort of typical board stuff that we are required to do. The membership. Voting members are designated sector representatives. So we have 19 in total currently when all the core committee seats are filled, and we represent 13 sectors. Some of the sectors have more than one voting member, such as the cities, and I think there's a stewardship, the stewardship sector, is that right? And someone, I can't remember anyone else, but we can look at that after. But you should all kind of have a good idea of that already, given we have a lot of longstanding core committee members here today. Alternate, so the alternate is always still the same as we've always treated an alternate as far as, if I'm misspeaking, that's if the alternate they have their time and they're the alternate representative of the sector rep on the core committee. And I believe they kind of swap back and forth. Is that not right? Every year, or as per the time commitment of that one, the sectors kind of decide on who the rep's going to be, or the alternate will be. Not really speaking correctly, but I think we also sort of know the role of the alternate. They don't vote. They're basically there to come in as another representative. Should the representative not be able to be there, it's just a one for information and whatnot, and then most likely that would become the representative. The alternate would be the representative the following year, essentially. These are all the sector representatives, and we should all be fairly familiar with all of these as well. I don't think this has changed from what we've seen in the past. So we should all be pretty familiar with these. And it shows the voting members and the sector reps. Voting members are appointed in writing by the members of their sector and representative organizations. Members will serve 1-year terms, which are renewable. Organizations within the sector may alternate years in which they're appointed a representative to the core committee. Organizations that represent sectors and the number of votes allotted to each sector in the core committee structure may change by special resolution. So we can change what that structure is with a special resolution, but right now we're keeping it consistent as how it's been in the past. So the general meetings, the core committee, so we're calling this now general meeting. These used to typically be called core committee meetings. We would do the core committee roundtable sort of business of the roundtable, and then people from outside the community are always and are still welcome to come at any time. That hasn't changed at all, either, except for the fact that we're now doing these community meetings in the evening, and we've changed the name essentially of what we've called it. We're calling it a general meeting rather than a core committee meeting. We have wonderful presentations typically. Dan, we don't, just for your benefit, we, as Georgia says, we don't typically do this type of a presentation. Luckily, Councilor Makura and Georgia brought some of the interesting things that the roundtable that does, the watershed, that's typically what we're talking about. We're not usually doing discussions like this, but this is where we are today. Basically quorum is 10% or 3 members, which is ever greater. We were hoping to provide notice 14 days in advance for the meetings, and these are the meetings that are laid out for 2024. Those are the dates that we have currently. Voting on resolutions.
This is getting really into the weeds, I think.
It
but-
really is. And I don't think we really have to do this, Georgia, like as I'm going through here. I mean, these are things that we can talk about after. They're very typical for society board. This is nothing. We're not doing any big, huge leaps or changes of any kind of standard outline of what a society or society board would do. And then we had talked about the committees. So one of the issues that we had with our committees in the past is there's a lot of them. It was maybe too many of them. It was difficult for the time commitment for everybody and that expertise to actually have the discussions that we need. So we're proposing changing some of the committees so that it's just a bit easier for people to attend or participate. These are not set in stone. This is just illustrating that we are looking to change some of those themes that you've seen before and maybe simplifying and aggregating some of them. And then our next steps. So we definitely are going to be wanting to recruit board members, and we will be actively doing that. And please, if you are interested or you know someone that might be interested or someone that may be a good fit, please let Georgia know. She's going to have a form. I don't know if you have this here today, Georgia, or you were just going to get they were going to contact with you and then.
Yeah, I think for now, if you can just reach out to me through the coordinator at Coquitlam River Watershed.ca email address.
And please do this. It's been a very rewarding experience being on the round table all these many years. So it is something that I would really consider, or if you know someone that would be a good fit, please have them contact Georgia. We're right now almost finalizing drafting our bylaws. That's been a very extensive, arduous process that we are almost through. And we are now, and we still have our sanity, most of us, which is great. And we have our AGM is coming up June 12th from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. right currently at the Port Coquitlam Community Center. And I don't think, Georgia, you could get anywhere else for now. That's where we're going to be.
That's right. Yeah, we were looking at changing the venue, but they're not taking registrations at the new location at this point. So I think it'll work quite well to go to the center. All
right. And so that's what we're going to, at the AGM, we're going to elect our new directors. We're going to have the membership accept, hopefully I'm just going to say accept and review and accept our bylaws. And begin our annual work plan, just so that we're ready to get ready for that we're going to work on in the fall.